Picture this. Your car breaks down on a random Tuesday morning. You're already running late. You check your bank account, and it's sitting at $1,842. Rent is due in 10 days. Your phone buzzes. It's your boss asking where you are. And suddenly, that $1,842 doesn't feel like money anymore. It feels like oxygen. Now here's the part that hits hard. You've been told your entire life, just save $10,000 for emergencies and you'll be fine. So you try. You skip nights out, you cut back on spending, you even transfer money into a savings account. But somehow, that $10,000 number always feels either impossible to reach or weirdly not enough, and you're stuck thinking, am I doing something wrong? My name is Leonard, and I spend way too much time thinking about the $10,000 emergency fund lie, what you really need. If you're someone who feels like you're constantly trying to save money but never quite getting ahead, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's the thing. The $10,000 emergency fund rule? It's not just outdated. For a lot of people, it's actually dangerous. And I know that sounds dramatic, but stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to realize you don't need a bigger emergency fund, you need a smarter one. Where did the $10,000 rule even come from? Look, the idea of a fixed emergency fund number became popular because it's simple. Simple rules spread fast. Save $10,000. It sounds clean, achievable, safe. But here's what most people don't realize. That number never accounted for your income, your lifestyle, your debt, your job stability, or inflation. And inflation alone has completely wrecked this idea. In 2000, $10,000 had the purchasing power of roughly $18,000 today. So when people repeat this advice, they're basically telling you to prepare for emergencies using half the money you actually need. The real problem isn't the number. This is where it gets really interesting. The problem isn't that $10,000 is too small. The problem is that it's a fixed goal in a variable life. Let me explain. Two people both have $10,000 saved. Person A spends $1,500 a month. Person B spends $4,000 a month. Same emergency fund. Completely different reality. Person A has over 6 months of survival time. Person B, they have 2.5 months before things fall apart. Same number, totally different level of safety. So the emergency fund lie. So here's the lie, that a single number can make you financially safe. It can't, because emergencies don't care about your savings goal. They care about your burn rate. Let's talk real numbers. Look, let's do some simple math. If your monthly expenses are rent, $1,200, food, $400, transport, $200, utilities, $150, miscellaneous, $250, that's $2,200 a month. Now let's say you lose your job. A $10,000 emergency fund gives you $10,000 divided by $2,200, approximately 4.5 months. Sounds decent, right? Now let's adjust one thing. Add debt payments, $500, insurance, $300. Now you're at $3,000 a month. Same emergency fund. Now you have $10,000 divided by 3,000, approximately 3.3 months. And here's the scary part. The average job search takes 3 to 6 months depending on industry. So your safe emergency fund barely covers reality. Now the psychology behind this. Now you might be thinking, okay, so I just need more money saved. Not exactly, because this is where psychology kicks in. Humans love fixed goals. Why? Because they give us closure. Once I hit 10K, I'm safe. It feels like crossing a finish line. But money doesn't work like that. Financial security isn't a finish line, it's a system. Here's what most people don't realize. An emergency fund isn't just about money, it's about time. You're not saving dollars, you're buying breathing room. You're buying the ability to say no to a bad job, to handle unexpected costs, to think clearly under pressure. So the real question isn't, how much money do I have? It's,
How much time have I bought myself? The 3 levels of emergency funds. Let's break this down in a way that actually makes sense. Level 1, survival buffer, 0 to 1 month. This is where most people are. You have something saved, but one real emergency wipes you out. This is stress mode. Every expense feels like a threat. Level 2, stability zone, 2 to 4 months. This is where things start to shift. You're not panicking anymore. You can handle car repairs, medical bills, short-term unemployment, but you're still vulnerable. Level 3, freedom fund, 6+ months. At this level, you're not just surviving emergencies, you're controlling your life. You can leave toxic jobs, you can take calculated risks, you can invest without fear. Why $10,000 can be too much? Yes, really. Now here's something nobody talks about. For some people, $10,000 is actually too much to keep in cash. Let me explain. If you're earning stable income, have low expenses, no dependents, locking up $10K in a low-interest savings account might be inefficient. That money could be paying off high-interest debt, invested for growth, building income streams. So blindly chasing $10K can actually slow your financial progress. The smarter formula. Instead of chasing a random number, use this. Emergency fund equals monthly expenses times risk factor. Now let's break that down. Step 1, calculate your true monthly expenses. Not your ideal budget, your real spending. Include everything. Step 2, assign a risk factor. This is where it gets really powerful. Stable job, multiple income streams, 3 months. Average job stability, 4 to 6 months. Freelance, business owner, volatile income, 6 to 12 months. Step 3, multiply. If your expenses are $2,500 a month and your risk factor is 6, you need $2,500 times 6 equals $15,000, not $10,000, your number. Now you might be thinking, okay, but that's even more overwhelming. Fair, but here's the shift. You don't build an emergency fund all at once. You build it in phases. The 3-step build strategy. Phase 1, $1,000 quick buffer. This is your immediate protection. Build this as fast as possible. Sell stuff, cut expenses, hustle. Speed matters more than perfection here. Phase 2, 1 month of expenses. Now you're stabilizing. This removes 80% of everyday financial stress. Phase 3, full emergency fund. This is where you expand to your calculated number. Slow, steady, automated. Now the hidden trick nobody talks about. Here's what most people don't realize. Your emergency fund doesn't just grow by saving. It grows by reducing expenses. If you cut your monthly expenses from $3,000 to $2,400, a $10,000 fund suddenly stretches from 3.3 months to 4.1 months. Same money, more security. The biggest mistake people make. They treat their emergency fund like a trophy, something to build and then forget. But life changes. Your expenses change, your risk changes, so your emergency fund has to evolve too. A quick story. I once spoke to someone who had exactly $10,000 saved. They felt proud, safe, until they lost their job. Their monthly expenses? $3,800. That perfect emergency fund lasted less than 3 months. They ended up taking a lower-paying job, going into debt, burning through savings anyway. Not because they didn't save, but because they followed the wrong rule. What should you do today? Let's make this practical. Right now, do this. 1. Calculate your real monthly expenses. 2. Multiply by at least 3. 3. Set that as your minimum target. 4. Automate weekly savings. 5. Reduce one major expense. That's it. No guesswork, no arbitrary numbers. Final thought. Look, the goal isn't to hit $10,000. The goal is never to feel trapped by money again. Because financial security isn't about having a number in your account. It's about having options. And options come from time, flexibility, and control. If this changed how you think about money even a little bit, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and in the comments, tell me, how many months of expenses do you currently have saved? Because once you start thinking in months instead of dollars, everything changes.